Hi, Kilkie Kid. Here's another great story for you today.
Legend of Tir na Nog, the story of Niamh and Oisín. Once upon a time in the Emerald Hills of ancient Ireland, there lived a young warrior named Oisín. He was the son of Fionn Mac Cumhaill, the legendary leader of the Fianna, a band of brave heroes who protected the land. Oisín was not only a formidable warrior, but also a gifted poet, his verses capturing the beauty and spirit of Ireland. One bright morning, as they hunted, they noticed a radiant figure approaching. A woman of unparalleled beauty rode a snow-white horse, her golden hair cascading like sunlight over her shoulders. Her eyes sparkled and her presence exuded an otherworldly grace. Fionn stepped forward and called out, "Fair lady, may we know your name and the land from which you come?" The woman replied, her voice as melodious as a harp, "I am Niamh of the golden hair, daughter of the king of Tir na Nog, the land of eternal youth. I have heard tales of a great warrior and poet named Oisín, and have journeyed to invite him to our realm." Oisín's heart stirred at her words, and he felt an irresistible pull towards Niamh. Despite the sorrowful looks from his father and comrades, he approached her and said, "Lady Niamh, I am Oisín, son of Fionn. I am honoured by your invitation and would be delighted to accompany you to Tir na Nog." Niamh smiled warmly and extended her hand. Oisín mounted the white horse behind her, and together they galloped towards the horizon, his men watching in awe as the duo disappeared into the morning mist, leaving the familiar world behind. The journey to Tir na Nog was unlike any Oisín had ever experienced. The horse moved effortlessly over land and sea, as if gliding on air. Soon they arrived at a land of unparalleled beauty. The trees were forever in bloom, rivers shimmered like liquid silver, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of everlasting flowers. Music and laughter resonated throughout, and the inhabitants radiated both youth and joy. Oisín was welcomed with open arms by Niamh's family and the people of Tir na Nog. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, yet time seemed to stand still. Oisín and Niamh's love blossomed, and they were soon married in a grand celebration that lasted for days. Together, they explored the wonders of this enchanted land, and Oisín's heart was filled with happiness. However, as time passed, a longing grew within Oisín. He began to miss his father and his comrades. He yearned to share tales of his adventures and hear of theirs. Noticing his melancholy, Niamh approached him one evening as they watched the sunset over the eternal fields. "Oisín, my love," she began softly, "I see the yearning in your eyes. You miss your homeland and your kin." Oisín sighed. "Indeed, Niamh. Though Tir na Nog is a paradise, my heart aches to see my father and friends once more." Niamh's eyes glistened with unshed tears, but she nodded in understanding. "If you wish to return to Ireland, I will not stop you. However, you must heed my warning. Take my white horse, but under no circumstances must you dismount or let your feet touch the soil of Ireland. If you do, the enchantment of Tir na Nog will break, and you will age rapidly, for many years have passed in your homeland since you left." Oisín listened intently and promised to follow her advice. The next morning, he bid a heartfelt farewell to Niamh and mounted the magical steed. As he rode away, Niamh's gaze followed him, but her heart was heavy with worry. Crossing the vast sea, Oisín finally reached the shores of Ireland. However, he found the land changed beyond recognition. The grand halls of the Fianna were in ruins, overtaken by nature. The people he encountered were smaller and seemed weaker than those he remembered. Confused and disheartened, Oisín rode on, searching for familiar faces. Eventually, he came across a group of men struggling to move a large stone. Seeing their plight, he approached and offered assistance. "Let me help you," he said. The men looked up in astonishment at the towering figure on the majestic horse. One of them replied, "Thank you, noble sir, but we are mere mortals and cannot move this boulder." Determined to help, he leaned down from his horse and with his immense strength shifted the stone with ease. However, in doing so, the saddle girth snapped and he lost his balance. He tumbled to the ground, and the moment his feet touched the earth, the spell of Tir na Nog shattered. Instantly, the centuries caught up with him. His youthful looks withered, his strength vanished, and he was transformed into a frail old man. The white horse, now riderless, neighed sorrowfully and galloped away, returning to the land of youth. The men, witnessing this miraculous transformation, were filled with awe and pity. They gently lifted Oisín and brought him to a nearby dwelling. There they cared for him, offering food and warmth. As he regained some strength, Oisín inquired about his father and friends. "Alas," one of the elders replied, "the tales of Fionn Mac Cumhaill, his people, are but legends now. They walked this land centuries ago." Oisín's heart ached with sorrow. He realised that while only a few years seemed to have passed in Tir na Nog, centuries had flown by in Ireland. Everyone he had known and loved was gone. Their stories now part of myth and song. Word of the old warrior reached the ears of Saint Patrick, who was travelling across Ireland, spreading the teachings of Christianity. Intrigued by the tales, Saint Patrick sought out Oisín, hoping to learn about the ancient heroes and perhaps guide the old man to the new faith. When they met, Saint Patrick asked, "Are you truly Oisín, son of Fionn, the legendary poet and warrior of the Fianna?" With a weak smile, Oisín replied, "Yes, I am he, though I am but a shadow of my former self." Saint Patrick listened intently as Oisín recounted the tales of the Fianna's bravery, their adventures, and the enchanting beauty of Tir na Nog. Moved by the stories, St. Patrick spoke of the new faith that had spread across the land during Oisín's absence. "Oisín," St. Patrick began gently, "much has changed since you left. The people now follow the teachings of Christ, embracing a new path to eternal life." Oisín listened, but found it challenging to reconcile this new faith with the world he once knew. His heart remained tethered to the old ways, the legends of the Fianna, and the love he left behind in Tir na Nog. Days turned into weeks, and Oisín's strength waned. The weight of centuries pressed upon him, and he knew his time in this world was drawing to an end. Though Saint Patrick offered him comfort and spoke of a new path to eternal life, Oisín's heart remained bound to the past. He longed for the rolling green hills of Ireland as they once were, the laughter of the Fianna, and most of all, the radiant smile of Niamh. One evening, as he rested near a quiet stream, he gazed at his reflection in the water. The face staring back at him was not the strong warrior he once was, but that of an old man, weathered by time and sorrow. Yet in his mind, he was still the Oisín of legend, the poet, the warrior, the dreamer. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Oisín closed his eyes. A gentle breeze carried whispers of the past, the echoes of Fianna feasts, the sound of galloping hooves, and the soft laughter of Niamh. With a final breath, Oisín's soul drifted away, leaving behind this mortal land. Though he never returned to Tir na Nog, some say that in his last moments he heard Niamh calling his name, her voice carried by the wind across the sea. Perhaps in the realm beyond, Oisín found his way back to her.